So Oskar and Luis, it's a pleasure to visit with you for a few minutes, and I want you to know I appreciate your willingness to allow us to do evaluation on your firm. What I want to do is kind of lay out some things about us, some things about you, some expectations, and then take a good look at some of the basics and the story of your firm, and then identify some of where we go from there. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me first introduce University Valuation Group. So as you're aware, University Valuation Group is a student-led valuation consultancy. So I'm just a student, and I say that, please recognize that I'm a student that's had a fair amount of training in this, and that the lead faculty member within our college that deals with valuation work, Dr. Haskell, is overseeing everything that we do. But at the same time, I'm a student. And the reason that we didn't ask you to pay anything for this is because what you're going to get is technically worth exactly what you're paying for. Well, we think it's worth a little bit more than that, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page. This is not an accredited valuation. We believe that it has a similar value to you that one would have, but I want to make sure that we're all very upfront about that. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay. We are currently housed at Westminster College, but in the future, University Valuation Group is likely to bring in students from other universities along the Wasatch Front as we continue to value firms like yours. Okay. Do you mind if I record our conversation with an audio recording just so I don't miss any details, so I can go back and listen to it later?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, is that all right with you, Oskar?
Of course.
Okay. Let me just take a moment to let this happen. Well, if I could remember where my voice recorder is. There it is. Okay. I appreciate you being willing to do that, and I promise we're only going to use this recording so I can make sure that I've got all the detail from our discussion. Okay. So with that, before we go into anything about your firm, you'll remember that we need to sign non-disclosure agreements for you. And this is more for you than it is for us. But I have a consultancy agreement and a non-disclosure agreement. You'll see that I've already gone ahead and signed for University Evaluation Group. If I can get the two of you to each sign for your firm. And I've already filled in Chino's as the name of the firm and given the date. So I'll go ahead and provide my signature. And then if you could go ahead and provide yours as well, Luis, and then Oskar, if you would do your signature directly next to his. And we'll do that on each of the three agreements so I can leave you with an original and I can take an original.
All three of them.
All three of them. So you'll need to sign these two as well.
Sign these two.
And you've already done that. Go ahead and keep that one. And Oskar, this is for you. And so we all have originals that I'll just keep in our files. And I appreciate that you didn't feel the need to read through those. Normally, I think you would, but I remember that you saw these by email before, so I can accept that you've already seen what you're agreeing to, and basically you're agreeing to let us work on the valuation, and you're accepting that we are not going to share your information. You've also agreed in this to allow us to use your company's name on the University Valuation Group website as simply part of our client list, but only your name. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So with that, let's talk about some expectations, okay? So I'm not looking for a lot of numbers today. I want to understand your company. I want the story of your company. I want to know why you're excited about your company. I want to know what's interesting here for you and where you think your company is going. We'll ask for, through a follow-up email, we'll ask for your balance sheet for the last couple of years, your income statement for the last couple of years. If you haven't, you're comfortable providing it, your tax returns for the last couple of years. We don't need bank statements, of course. We're trying to get enough quantitative detail so that we can add that to the qualitative story that you're about to give to me, so that we can come up with a valuation that includes both. One of the things that you might ultimately recognize, that evaluation is part science and part art, if you will. And so understanding what you think your company's doing, where you think it's going, how you think you're presenting yourself to the marketplace becomes important. So I'll ask some basic questions, and then I'll probably drill in and probe on some of your answers, if that's okay. Okay. One of the things that I want to make sure you know is that over the next 4, maybe 8 weeks, we're likely to need to access you or someone else on your staff a couple of times as we have follow-up questions. So you'll be sending us some documents. We're going to have questions about them. We'll ask those. We'll go through our work with myself and the other consultants, and then we may have some yet other questions. So you're probably going to commit 4 to 5 hours of work from either you or someone on your staff over the 4 weeks, maybe 8 weeks that it takes us to go through this process. Is that going to work for you?
Oh yeah, that should work.
Okay, thank you. It doesn't take 4 or 8 weeks to do evaluation. It's just that we know that you're busy, you know that as students, we're working part-time, we're also in school full-time, and we're doing some of this for experience, and so things don't happen really quickly in this process. Normally, evaluation might take a week or 2, but we're likely to spend, between now and the time we actually finish up with you, at least 6 weeks. If you need to have your evaluation performed and completed before then, let us know and we'll work to that date. But otherwise, we're probably going to take 6 or 8 weeks for it. Okay. Start for me, if you would, by letting me know why it is you decided to allow us to work on evaluation for you. What was your motivation here, Luis?
So pretty much ATL Capital's trying to offer us a deal to buy the business. I believe it was $20 per share, which is kind of way above our $12 that we're currently traded. So we kind of just want to see if we can get a different point of view, or different number set, and see if
comparative metric.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And then kind of just to see if if we would be able to do better than that just by ourselves, or kind of just seeing the valuation, see kind of what we could do with that.
Okay. Oskar, what about you? Anything beyond that for you?
So going off that, our stock has been languishing lately. We have had, our last 2 years, our revenue has been declining. And right now, this offer looks very attractive. And as we're looking at ourselves, it looks very attractive. Some of the people that work with us see some opportunities which can lead to ourselves taking this further personally. We could add some more value to it.
So you're thinking that you'd like to know if $20 is A, fair for what your current situation would warrant, and B, is it possible that with some additional management interaction, maybe some new energies, that you could perhaps grow Chinos to well beyond $20 a share and make it worthwhile to leave $20 on the table?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
We have also been talking with other private equity firms, in fact, and we're looking at, maybe we can get an even better deal.
Okay.
So that's why we want to get you in and get a second opinion.
I think those are all very valid reasons. Do you currently, or have you thought to consider offering stock options or warrants to any of your existing employees?
Yes.
Okay, so that's something you might like to do in the future. Do you do so already?
All of our managers has stock options, but
Okay.
we got some new employers coming on. We got a new partnership with this rapper
Oh, I read about that.
Southeast is.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, I'm gonna suppose that you consider rap a form of music? Is that right?
Not at all.
No, thank you, thank you. Nor do I, but I can appreciate why you do. Okay. It's got this whole Elvis hair thing you've got going on, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very good. Well, we'll talk about that because that may be an important element to us in a few minutes. I'll ask you to really talk about your whole company and where you're going. Take a minute and tell me about the ownership of the firm. You say that you have some employees that have some stock options. Do any of those employees own stock?
See, what was it, so,
And I don't need to know numbers. You have employees that own stock, or is it just your family, Luis?
so it's pretty much just, well, some of the top executives
Okay.
have some stock in it.
And so with some of those executives and other employees having some options, in the future, it's possible they'll exercise them.
Yeah.
Who is the majority shareholder? Is that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in the family.
And approximately what percentage of the outstanding shares are held by your family? Or close insiders? Approximate is fine for this conversation.
40?
Yeah.
Okay,
About 40.
so you own more than anybody else, but you don't own the majority of the stock?
Correct.
Okay. So major, but not majority. Okay. Does the company have any long-term debt? By that I mean bonds that you've issued to the public or long-term bank loans. And again, the dollar amount's not terribly meaningful to me, just knowing whether or not you have some.
Yeah.
I think we
Okay.
have some.
Okay.
Yeah, we're quite leveraged.
Okay, so we'll take a look at that and when we see the financials, and they're gonna tell their own story. Okay, so with that, tell me about Chino's. I know almost nothing about the company. Tell me about
Chino's is a men's casual retailer.
it. Okay?
We have stores placed all over America, mostly in the western, around California area, Oregon. And we have been pursuing that tactic of going men's casual retail, but we're now looking at some new, new strategies, going into some new partnerships, as we said, with Southeast.
Okay. And would those take you out of retailing, or would those simply seek to bolster your retailing?
That will keep us in retailing.
Okay.
But it will be more of a high-end line, I'd say.
Okay?
We're also looking at acquiring a shoe store company and add that as a new product line as well, and that will give us a chance to get new stores acquired and get a whole new product line there as well.
And have you already agreed to that acquisition? You're thinking about it, you're committed to it?
It was just, the CEO, or no, COO brought it up, right? Max?
Yes.
Okay.
Our
Yeah.
CEO, Max, has been thinking about this. He's very opportunistic about this, as we said in the beginning.
Okay,
Might be a little bit too opportunistic. So that's, if at all possible, maybe you can look into that as well, see if
Okay.
this value is reasonable at all.
so do you have a sense of what that might cost you?
Yeah, it's a $5 million
Okay.
acquisition.
And at this point, do you believe you have access to the capital, or do we need to consider where that might come from?
Considering we're super leveraged now, might not be the best idea. We don't
Okay.
want to spend too much, so we have a little restraint on capital, but we can always get it if we find it to be a good investment. If it can increase our EBITDA, we can get back up and get our stock up and going again, I think it could be worth it.
Okay. Does it appear to you that you would add those stores to your own, so that you would be expanding the number of stores you have, and the current shoe stores that exist would also become Chino stores and vice versa? Or do you think you would run them completely separately? Or do you think you would simply integrate the shoe products into your own stores and keep the shoe stores as standalone units? What are your thoughts, or do you even know yet?
It's pretty much too early to kind of really know what we would do. It was
Okay.
just an idea that Max pitched. So, and he doesn't have a lot of information, so we don't really have much.
So it's
of an
really
idea.
preliminary.
Yes.
Yes.
This is aspirational.
Yes.
And what's Max's role? I mean, he's a COO, but that's a title. What's his real role in the company? How well integrated, how much influence does he actually have?
I would say he's definitely the ID driver. He's
Okay.
young, he doesn't have too much corporate experience yet, but he comes with a lot of IDs. He's also the one that initiated the whole, strategic partnership with Southeast, and
Got
he
it.
might be looking at taking the shoe brand store and integrate that into this new product line with Southeast as well.
Okay. Does Max independently have much of an equity stake in the company, or is his equity simply as a function of the general family unit having equity?
That would be a function.
Okay, okay.
Um,
And the reason that might be important is because if he has a significant equity stake independently, then what he wants, what he says could be very important here. Okay, all right.
But adding to that, Juan Tia is now looking at retiring soon. She's a seasoned CEO now, and she wants Max to take over as the CEO after her, and might then pass on the equity as well.
So Oskar, if I remember correctly, you're the CFO, and Luis, you're part of the family, and you represent the board.
Yes.
Okay. Juan Tia's retirement, is that something that the management of the firm looks forward to? Does it concern you? I mean, she's the founder, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
right? What are some of your thoughts here?
Kind of, our concern is pretty much with Max, kind of how she really wants it to stay in the family, and kind of with his, he doesn't have much experience with kind of the corporate side. Kind of we're a bit iffy on how well he would actually do.
Okay.
And kind of Wanty also kind of pitched the idea of kind of changing our policies so she can continue to be CEO, because currently our policy is after 65, pretty much retirement, and pretty much they have to step down. But she's kind of asked us if we can change that age so that she can continue until we can kind of be in a more profitable position for Max or whoever
Okay.
takes over. We'll have a strong company to kind of.
And at this point, does it appear as though management and the rest of management and the board are aligned with this, or are you not sure this is a good idea?
It's definitely concerning, and we're all used to the way Juan Tia is running this, and now with Max, as that has a completely different leadership style and a new strategy for all our product lines, it's a lot of uncertainty ahead.
Okay.
So it's hard for us to predict anything.
Certainly, and it's good to know. It's good to know that. Okay, well, let's back up a little bit. Talk to me about your revenues. I think you said, Oskar, that they've been declining the last few years. Serious declines to the point where you're losing money, or marginal declines?
Serious.
Okay.
We're not losing money as
All
of
right.
now.
You're
but
profitable,
we
you're
might
cash
be-
flow
we-
positive.
Yeah, cash flow positive, but we might be losing money if we don't turn this around.
Okay. And talk to me about turning it around. Southeast, possible acquisition of another firm, but you probably are gonna have to pay what that firm is worth, so it's not gonna give you an immediate benefit, but it'll help your top line and maybe your bottom line, but at a cost. What else are you doing, or what else are you thinking about to turn this around so that you don't have a serious concern?
We're working in the financial department to increase margins, trying to run this ship a lot leaner if possible.
Okay. I think I saw something from Max and Wantia that suggested they thought that you were really a lean, mean fighting machine already. Is that not your perception?
Looking at our margins, comparing them to other retail stores, not really.
Okay. It's good to know. One of the things that we'll do, once we've seen your financials, or as we get your financials, is we'll be pulling benchmarks from the industry in which you operate. So we'll be able to tell you just how closely aligned you are with those versus how far apart you might be. And if you are far apart, or even marginally apart, that clearly is going to be something that you'll need to focus to. We need to, as we think about a story here, especially if you want to use this to try to improve ATL's offer or find another offer or be committed to your own management, having more influence, you need to help us devise a story that seems credible and that we can get some good documentation around, and that's what's going to drive your longer term value. Certainly it's not going to be what you've done in the past. Okay, talk to me about where you see the firm in 5 years. Percentages and just general dynamics are fine for me at this point.
I see ourselves, turning this around. We got these new product lines coming in that might increase our margins. Some upscale product lines, and the industry overall has some predictions to turn around now as the economy is strengthening.
Okay.
So I believe we can turn the whole thing around and get back where we were 3 years ago, which is 50% up from where we're at.
So 3 years ago, 50% greater than where you are now. So your declines have been significant.
Yes.
Good to know. So, before coming and talking to you, as you might imagine, I took a little bit of a look at your company, as much as I could online and such. You can only see a little bit. But I was a little surprised that I didn't see any major online presence for you. Well, I saw a couple little websites, and I saw a Facebook page and that kind of thing, Instagram and stuff. But I didn't see any major online distribution conduit. I didn't see a lot of other influencers referencing you at all. Do you have plans in that area, or have you purposely chosen to stay away from online marketing? Oskar?
As of now, we don't have any plans.
Okay.
But it is something that Max has been lobbying that he wants to do, so it might be on the agenda later.
Okay. Anything else?
I can just getting to be on the agenda. We haven't really thought about it because it hasn't really been a big focus. But Max is younger and is more used to or knows the trends more, and I guess online's what is really growing. So we'll probably be looking into that in the future.
Okay. Well, I think that's fair. So obviously, you have some historical financials for the last few years. Have you spent the time to develop any financial forecasts for the coming years?
Yes, we we forecasted.
Yeah, along the lines that I just
Yeah.
described to you.
Okay.
With that increase.
Okay. And so as we reach out to you asking for some of your historical numbers and documents, we can also ask for your forecasts, and you should be able to have those readily available for us.
Yes.
Okay. What else should I know about your company? I mean, you've been around a while. You've obviously seen some growth and some successes. The last few years, maybe not so much. What else should I know? I mean, you guys work here all day, every day. You worry about this every night. What do you think?
Just trying to recover from the recession that happened a few years ago.
Mhm.
So that really hit us bad, especially since the unemployment rate went down. Not a lot of people had jobs to spend on casual wear. But now that the unemployment rate's going down, more people have jobs, so we're hoping they'll spend more money. That will boost us.
Okay. So, and this is kind of off the record, and take it for what it's worth. So here it is, 2013. We're 5 years from the bottom of the recession, the great recession. I'm pretty confident that, and you're not gonna believe this, I'm pretty sure of it. I'm pretty confident that even though the Dow sits at about 16,000 right now, by the time 2018 comes to a close, we'll have seen the Dow exceed 27,000 points. I think that the United States is gonna elect a radical president. I don't know where he's gonna come from or she's gonna come from, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna upset the entire apple cart. And we're gonna see significant economic growth between now and then. So that all leads into your plans, but you have to decide whether or not you believe that.
Yeah.
Fair enough? Okay. So in the next few days, you're gonna get an email from me. I'll give you a digital copy of this non-disclosure agreement, consultancy agreement, of course. We'll go ahead and give you a list of the items that I've already articulated, but that we'll be looking for with some good detail. We'll go ahead and perhaps ask a few other questions that I haven't thought of as I listen back to the recording to think, oh, what didn't I ask about? And then we'll set up a time frame. I'll let you know when we think our next discussion needs to happen with you, and that can be over the phone. Certain aspects of it might simply be digital, email and such. And then I'll let you know about when we think we'll be able to have the evaluation report available to you. And the report will be a document. You can either choose to simply have us send it to you, and you can then review it and ask questions of us as you would choose to, or you can choose to have us come and present it to you. Do you have any sense at the moment which you'd rather have us do?
Probably presentation, just so we could ask questions in
Okay.
real time.
Okay, I think that's fair. We're happy to do that. So we'll be looking at our schedules then as well as we get to, the next 6 weeks, give or take.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to ask about or talk about tonight?
No. Well,
Okay.
if we can talk off the record.
Sure.
As a CFO, I'm not really that optimistic to the same forecast as other people in the company are.
Okay. Now, it's interesting that you're saying that from the
We can have
board.
that
So
in
I will keep that very confidential. Luis, how do you react as your CFO says that? Excuse me.
Like a part of me kind of agrees with that. I kind of want to be more optimistic, but kind of seeing the trends and kind of how they plan to just kind of go from the few years of decline to just kind of hockey stick
You're
profit.
concerned about the likelihood of that happening?
Yeah, or as soon as kind of the projections are showing, I can probably would imagine kind of it being a slow recovery, and kind of how the forecasts are. It kind of just looks like a quick recovery, which I'm not too sure about, but
Okay.
I'd like to think that we could recover like
I
that.
would like you to be a little bit more conservative than our analysts when you look at this.
So what we'll probably do, and we do this very often, is we'll probably create a valuation scenario based upon the projections you're going to give us. We'll probably also prepare one based upon our interpretation of the accuracy of those projections. I think you can appreciate the projections are simply projections. Some people scientifically call them WAGs. But they're projections. We know they might happen. So we'll probably look at that management case, what we think of as a more realistic case, and perhaps we may even give you a third scenario in the analysis that is a worst case. Very often you see a management case, a worst case, and a very realistic case, a base case, if you will. Okay. Well, if you don't have anything else, I don't either, and you'll hear from us in the next couple of days. Good enough?
All right, sounds good.
Appreciate
All right.
you doing this.
Thank you.